A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Tonight we are putting the spotlight on two different companies, one in the landscape of premium handicrafted products in India and other in the industrial special chemicals space. In the first segment, we get chatting with Joseph Chackola, the founder of Nirvriti Store, on the evolving landscape of artisanal retail in India. In the second segment, a very interesting conversation lined up with Bhavana Bindra, Managing Director, India, Middle East and Africa, Lubrizol Corporation, on manufacturing, specialty chemicals and much more. Thank you for joining us today, Joseph.
Thank you very much, Ritika. Appreciate taking us on.
So firstly, take us through the journey of Nirvriti Store. What inspired its inception? What was the initial vision behind it?
See, my wife and I have actually started this initiative and we own the business together. And we also were working outside of the country for a very long time, and we got back just before the COVID. In fact, I quit working end of 2019, and we decided to move, of course, home, which is Kerala. And we were very blessed to have actually been gifted with a small house here, which was an ancestral house that was gifted to us by my brother. So there's an 1865 house, and we were trying to do some restoration to the property, which we did, of course. And this is where we wanted to live and at least make most part of our life be lived here.
Sure.
And in the process of actually doing that, we identified some good restoration architects. We got the house really done. And then we also wanted to do something with the house because, though I said a small house, it is not that small. We want to actually make sure this is not just left idle, and we want to actually make sure there is something that's done about this house. So we restored this house, and we realized there's a potential to actually maybe invite a few guests over once in a while. And we decided to actually float this as an opportunity for us to invite guests, primarily people that we know, or referees of people that know us who would refer their guests over. And as we are trying to actually put this together, we realized we wanted to actually keep it exclusive. We wanted to actually have something really nice happening here.
Wonderful.
And this 1865 property was restored really well by architects. And to use products within this property that would actually go well with a guest, we were actually on the hunt for some good products. And we realized that it was, yes, available, but not necessarily as easy as I thought or as we thought it would be. Then we were on a hunt, and we started talking to people. We found a lot of people that we thought we could work with. And in the process, we realized there are a lot of wonderful artisans in and around the region, and not far from here and across the states as well, who could really help us actually put things together for a good experience for our guests who would come here, whether it's dinner plates, artisanally crafted by some ceramic artists, some serving dishes crafted by some fantastic wooden work artists, some bath towels that we actually got crafted from very local handloom weavers in and around this place. And suddenly we see that there's a lot of talent that is around, not with an exposure that I thought would actually help these artisans in a big way. And we thought within the family also, there's a lot of artisans who are absolutely skilled, but very confined to the very minimal audience that they had, but fantastic products, amazing aesthetics, and follow fabulous sustainability cautions and very natural, organic. All of these elements I thought was such a good proposition for us to actually take it one level further.
Now, the Indian retail market is evolving with growing consumer interest in sustainability and artisanal craftsmanship. How do you see this shift influencing the future of premium handicrafted products in India?
The immense talent that I see scattered around the region is not being tapped into. And each of these individuals on their own are fabulous artisans, fantastic products. what I thought, if you could actually help them to kind of actually, obviously, one, have a market reach, two, get them some help in terms of actually having some finesse to their finished products, maybe elevate their propositions in terms of the product profile that they've got.
Sure.
And I think what comes out from all of these initiatives is, from what we've experienced in our own personal inventory that we took for our property, was you could get something unbelievably good, more because the talent is there, less because it has not had the exposure to a larger audience to actually grow this. And like I mentioned earlier, most of these propositions were actually led or actually done by women artisans. And what I realized we could probably do for them in the process of actually getting them to reach out to a larger audience was get them that space to actually focus more on their art and the artisanal crafts,
Right.
and not be really bothered to actually get sales done, because obviously all of these artisans also at the end of the day need some business coming for them to actually sustain.
Joseph, Nirvriti Store also champions artisans and women entrepreneurs. What are some of the biggest challenges do you think they face in reaching a premium market, and how does Nirvriti help bridge that gap?
Nirvriti tends to kind of actually, like I mentioned, pool in these resources of fabulous talent from primarily with our logistics in and around the south of India. We work with a lot of artisans across Auroville. We work with local weavers in Kerala and Palghat. We work with some fabulous home bakers who does some stunning fruit cakes, for instance.
Absolutely.
So what I've noticed with all of these people is a brand that is missing. So they all have on their own fabulous skill sets, fantastic products, but how do they reach out to an audience? That has always been a challenging exercise. They themselves don't have the opportunity in terms of time, resources to reach out to a larger audience.
Sure.
They're not under an umbrella or a brand to kind of actually have a visibility that would actually identify them to have a certain persona or a certain quality.
Right.
So what we thought was, like, we give them all an umbrella, which is the Nirvriti Store, and we have certain guidelines that qualify as a certain artisan to actually become a part of the Nirvriti Store. So we have a curator who first ensures that the products that we choose and the artisans that we work fit into a certain broad profile of the aesthetics and the product quality that we would really want our products to have.
Now, digital expansion is a major part of your growth strategy. How do you balance maintaining the authenticity and exclusivity of artisanal products while scaling up to a national audience?
So when we launch something to the larger audience across the nation, we would also want to have a small physical presence at various metropolitan cities to kind of physically do a launch of these physical products to start with. So that obviously gives the audience in that region a little bit of access to the physical product profiling. And we would also collaborate with the influencer audience that can actually help us reach out to that specific market that we reach out to. So primarily the first tier would be a physical activity that would involve an influencer element, a physical presentation of our products, and then scale the digital element to that region. So that way, one, we actually guarantee the authenticity simply because we always get these people who have initially started to actually get to experience our product, have a physical access to it.
Sure.
And two, we grow in smaller segments. Like, we don't actually... when we do pan-India, we do start with the metropolitan cities primarily. So it is not necessarily across the whole of India.
Joseph, your roadmap involves a phased expansion from South India to a pan-India presence. What factors influence your regional rollout strategy?
Obviously, it is our physical presence in the local South that actually helps us to identify our artisans and reach out to our audience much better. So logistically, we would gladly have access and control to start within the South, and with a very small team, it is hopefully easier for us to actually manage this better being in the South to start with. That gives us a lot of learning, and those learnings should basically be then taken to expanding beyond the South as the second phase.
And finally, looking ahead, where do you see Nirvriti in the next 5 years or so?
I think we are probably one of the very few people in the market who would do these artisanal products, especially for the corporate gifting side of things. We believe in customizing and personalizing the gifts to the corporate segment. That is where we would want to stand different. So from a ceramic piece that could be completely customized to an audience, to handcrafted stationery, which can also be 100% customized to the corporate audience. We would want every single product as a one-off piece. I mean, it could be a corporate audience who's celebrating a 50th anniversary,
Sure.
but it doesn't mean that we would actually get them something that can actually be bought off the market and actually put a stamp and seal on it to actually have that corporate element there. But we craft something which actually essentially talks the corporate lines of what that particular business is. So we have that huge advantage of actually being very unique and exclusive in the sourcing of ethical luxury, simply because of the huge pool resource that we have.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Joseph. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you very much, Ritwika.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. Now, as India emerges as a global economic powerhouse, the specialty chemicals industry is witnessing rapid transformation. Lubrizol, with its long-standing presence in the country, is strategically expanding its footprint. In this segment, I'll be joined by Bhavana Bindra, Managing Director, India, Middle East and Africa, Lubrizol, on the company's growth strategy in India and much more. Thank you so much, Bhavana, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciate the opportunity of being here with you.
So to begin with, could you provide an overview of Lubrizol's presence in India and how have sectors like specialty chemicals and industry materials evolved in recent years?
So Lubrizol has been in the country for more than 60 years. We first came into the country in 1966 in partnership with the government of India. And as of today, we are now in a joint venture with Indian Oil Corporation. Globally, we are almost a 100-year-old company, and we've always believed in a local for local approach, which is what we are strengthening as we move forward. For us at Lubrizol, when we came into the country, it was primarily focused with this joint venture with the government on the transportation and industrial sectors and providing solutions for that. There has been a lot of innovation for the local market from that sector's perspective. As we moved forward, we have also brought into this market CPVC, the chlorinated PVC, and the plumbing systems that are enabled by CPVC. Obviously, drinking water being a big challenge for a lot of nations, and for us here in India, it was a big milestone for us as Lubrizol to be introducing clean water solutions for the country. And now we also have a plant at Dahej, which we started almost about 7-8 years back, where we actually do the compounds that go into manufacturing these plumbing solutions.
Sure.
As of last year, we have also announced our second largest facility globally for the additives business, focusing on transportation and industrial sector, because I think India is the market to be in. India is the market that we are focusing on as Lubrizol.
Now, Bhavana, India is projected to become the world's third largest economy, and India's industrial sector is also undergoing significant transformation. What long-term opportunities do you see for Lubrizol's business growth in India?
One of my favorite questions. As I shared, for us here at Lubrizol, India is one of our fastest growing markets, and we are very firmly entrenched in the country for more than 60 years now. As we move forward, we understand that to be successful in this market and to be able to cater to the rest of the world from this market, it's important that we continue to consolidate our presence in the sectors that we have been in the country, as well as expand our horizons. So, in fact, one of the things I wanted to mention later towards the end of last year, we also announced our partnership to expand providing medical solutions to the country. And that is something which would be a work in progress as we speak in order to expand our position in this segment, not just for the country, but also from the country to the rest of the globe.
Now, you have been expanding your footprint in India as well. Your new Aurangabad facility is Lubrizol's second largest manufacturing site globally. Tell us what factors influenced this investment decision in Aurangabad.
I would say the teams did a lot of due diligence on what will work best for us, starting from being part of the Aurangabad, the AURIC, as we call it, the Aurangabad Industrial City, and also the kind of facilities, infrastructure, and support from the government that we have been and will continue receiving based on what we understand their approach has been in order to widen the development of the area, as well as to support industries that choose to establish in the area. So I would say a big part of it has been the support. Of course, we've also looked at factors like proximity, because it's important to be close to not just your customers, but also your suppliers. So that would be a big part of the consideration that has us in the city of Aurangabad.
Absolutely.
In terms of investment, so this particular facility, so we signed an MOU with the government to purchase 120 acres of land. This is almost 5 times the footprint of our existing facility at Turbhe. In fact, this is the facility that I was referring to earlier that we established with in line with the partnership with the government and later on with the Indian Oil Corporation. So for us, the need of a growing market is best catered to from the market.
Sure.
We are also very aware of the fact that the world is very seamlessly working through supply chain challenges, and it's important that we also think through how this facility can be catering to the rest of the world.
Bhavana, what according to you are the biggest challenges specialty chemicals companies face in India today?
I think supply chains, especially in the chemical space, is particularly something that we all need to keep our eyes and ears on. I'm sure the other industries also say the same thing, especially because all of us learned our lessons in the last few years. But especially in this space, given the amount of imports that are required in specific areas, it's important that we work seamlessly through very dynamic environments to cater to what is required, both from a raw material perspective and, of course, even for the companies that are exporting. It's important that we are agile and we are flexible in catering to this, which is, in fact, one of the biggest reasons for us, the local for local approach.
Now, you just spoke about a local for local approach. Could you elaborate on this strategy and how it strengthens Lubrizol's competitiveness in India?
Another one of my favorites, definitely. So for us, I would say the local for local approach works across the value chain, just to simplistically put it. So one, definitely to begin with, when we are talking local for local, we are talking about innovation in the region for the region. And you can only make that happen if you have teams in the region which are working closely with the customers, with the markets to understand what kind of innovation is required. Not just that, to kind of continuously evolve, because innovation is not just a eureka moment. It is a series of learnings that you pull together to find the best solution. And when we are talking local for local, it's about understanding what that solution should be, and at the same time taking that solution and putting into applications for our customers. So from my perspective, one, local for local means understanding the market. Two, using that understanding to develop solutions for the market. And three, having developed those solutions, manufacturing them in the region, for the region, in order to be very efficient in catering to customers.
Now, MSMEs are crucial to India's industrial ecosystem. How does Lubrizol collaborate with MSMEs, and perhaps what role do they play in the larger supply chain?
I think MSMEs are, to me, a very significant part of the backbone of the industry and this market. And we continuously work with them across the value chain, partnering with them. I think that's the right word.
Sure.
Partnerships are important, and when it's about a partnership, it is about a give and take. MSMEs come with a lot of advantages in terms of what they can make happen, whether it's in terms of agility, whether it's in terms of innovation. And when we say innovation, I think we need to also think beyond not just innovation at a product level or a service level, but there's a multitude of ways in which MSMEs can support and can take us to that future that we are envisaging for ourselves. And we work very closely with them, whether it's in terms of sharing our learnings, whether in terms of improving processes. Of course, like I said, it's a partnership, so it works both ways. And we do partner very closely with our MSME partners to make it happen for us in India. And my hope is, as we work together, it is an ecosystem that gets further and further strengthened, where we bring in our learnings from the rest of the world, from our experience in the country, and they bring in their fresh perspectives and their partnerships to drive our mutual growth.
And while sustainability is a growing priority across industries, what initiatives are you undertaking to ensure environmentally sustainable manufacturing and products?
Sustainability is like in our DNA. In fact, if you ever read, for us, we say Lubrizol Science delivers sustainable solutions. And the three aspects we focus on is to advance mobility, to improve well-being, and to enhance modern life. That's how we call out our purpose, and that's ingrained in us. So for us, sustainability, I would say, very simplistically put, we say it's the footprint and the handprint.
Right.
And what do I mean by that? It is about how we make the products we make, and not just about how we make the products, but also how we innovate the products. So sustainability for us works across the value chain at our end.
And well, finally, the theme for our show this season is Powering Entrepreneurs for the Global Stage. What advice would you give to Indian entrepreneurs and MSMEs looking to scale from local to global markets?
I think it's very important that we don't shy away from being creative. We focus on innovation, not just innovation for the sake of innovation or creativity for the sake of creativity, but in terms of actually understanding the customers more than the customers may understand themselves, which is like about being right in their DNA. We're talking a lot on DNA. And that's important.
Well, that was an insightful conversation, Bhavana. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.